welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Our mission today, well, it's to unpack a really powerful teaching. It's rooted in Scripture, sure, but it was designed for immediate community action.
That's right. We're looking at this concept they called looking to Jesus and going to the masses.
And this isn't just theory, is it? Our source material, it comes from a church in the Beipu area.
Yeah, and they were facing this huge kind of sudden challenge back in 2015.
What happened?
Well, they got word that this massive youth housing development was going up right in their neighborhood.
Wow, okay. How massive are we talking?
We're talking 600 new households, and they did the math, figured about 4 people per family.
So carry the one.
Yeah.
It's like 2,400 new residents.
Exactly. Basically a small town appearing almost overnight.
Okay, so the pressure was on.
Absolutely. The church already had this, aspirational motto, big matters for God's kingdom.
Right.
But suddenly the question became super practical. How do you take that big idea, that spiritual worship, and actually connect meaningfully with 2,400 brand new neighbors? It needed a major strategic shift.
It sounds like they needed a map, a kind of spiritual compass for this, and they found it, you mentioned, in Scripture.
Yeah, in Matthew 17, the story of the Transfiguration.
Ah, okay. Remind us, Jesus takes Peter, James, and John.
His inner circle, yeah. Up a high mountain.
And then, bam, he's transformed.
Totally transformed. Face shining like the sun, clothes white as light. And he's not alone.
Right, Moses and Elijah appear with him, these huge figures from history.
It's just this moment of pure, overwhelming glory, undiluted.
And then the voice from the cloud.
Right, a bright cloud overshadows them, and God's voice declares, "This is my beloved son with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him."
Okay, so you have this absolute peak spiritual moment, blinding glory. What's Peter's first reaction? This is fascinating.
It really is. His immediate instinct is to stop time.
Stop time. How?
He suggests building 3 shelters, like tents, right there on the mountain. One for Jesus, one for Moses, one for Elijah.
He wanted to stay.
To make it permanent.
Exactly. He wanted to capture that glory, bottle it up, make it a permanent campsite.
He wanted the peak experience without
the descent.
Yeah.
Without going back down the mountain and dealing with what came next, the responsibility.
And that's the core question the teaching poses, right? For the church facing those 2,400 new people.
Precisely. What actually is a glory moment? And maybe more importantly, what's the responsibility, the price tag that comes with it? The thing that stops us from just building tents and staying put.
Okay, let's unpack that. The source identifies 3 common ways people define this glory, and maybe ways they fall short. Theme 1.
Glory defined by material supply. This is the view of the crowd.
Yeah, for the large crowds following Jesus around, their idea of a peak glory moment was often seeing a miracle of, provision.
Like feeding the 5,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got 5,000 men plus women and children, so maybe over 10,000 people out in the wilderness hungry. And Jesus provides this incredible meal from just 5 loaves and 2 fish.
For them, the glory wasn't just the teaching. It was the full stomach at the end of the day.
That was a huge part of it. And the source connects this ancient idea to something more modern, which I found really interesting.
Oh, yeah. What's the connection?
They talked about Taiwan, maybe 70 years prior to their teaching, so around 1949, Minguo 38, a time of real scarcity.
Okay, post-war upheaval.
Right. And during that time, American aid, known as Meiyuan, was crucial. It came as flour, milk powder, clothing.
Stuff people desperately needed.
Absolutely. Even things like beautiful English Christmas cards, which were apparently quite treasured.
And how does the church fit in?
Critically, this aid was often distributed through church networks.
Ah, okay. I see where this is going.
So the insight is a lot of people initially connected with the church, not primarily for theology, but because, after the service, you could get food, you could get resources.
The glory was the provision itself.
For many, yes. And that reality, that poses a real strategic danger for the church thinking about those 2,400 new residents.
What's the danger?
If your main way of engaging is purely transactional, if the church becomes just seen as like a relief agency or a soup kitchen.
Just handing out loaves and fish.
Right. You risk losing the deeper spiritual core completely.
But hang on, if you're trying to reach a brand new community, maybe people who are skeptical or just struggling, isn't that practical help, the loaves and fish model, a good starting point? Isn't that just reality?
It's definitely good for immediate help, for showing care, but the source argues it's not enough for, lasting commitment.
Okay.
They use this provocative thought experiment. Imagine a church decides to offer these amazing free catered meals every week, say 30 tables, maybe $3,000 a table, totally free.
Attendance would probably skyrocket.
Absolutely. People respond to free value, right?
Sure.
But then they say, what if during the service the teaching gets a bit challenging? What if something is said that makes people feel a little uncomfortable, maybe makes them feel like, quote, beggars?
Oh.
The argument is most would leave the moment the free meal is outweighed by even slight discomfort.
The crowd disappears.
Because the core value driving them wasn't the message, it was the free service. So seeking only provision is a very limited, very conditional way of looking to Jesus.
That's a really sharp point.
Oh.
Okay, so if the goal is deeper than just keeping people fed, maybe glory is measured by success, by results.
That leads us right into theme 2. Glory defined by performance and achievement. This is the glory sought by, let's call them, the workers.
So shifting from the masses getting stuff to the people doing stuff.
Exactly. We look at the 70 disciples Jesus sent out in Luke 10. These weren't the main 12 apostles, but another group.
Sent out in pairs, right, to preach and heal.
Right. And they were explicitly given authority to do things.
And when they came back?
They were ecstatic, over the moon. They had this amazing performance report for Jesus.
Like, look what we did.
Totally. They weren't just preaching, they were performing miracles, casting out demons successfully. It was, their moment of success, of organizational glory. Real measurable results.
We achieved our KPIs.
Ah.
Exactly. But that's the danger, isn't it? Applying that kind of achievement culture directly to spiritual work. They were focused entirely on the immediate, visible, successful output.
And what was Jesus' reaction to their excitement?
It's fascinating. He immediately and quite sharply corrects their focus.
He pops their balloon a bit.
Pretty much. He tells them, basically, don't rejoice, because you can boss spirits around or wield this authority, that visible success. It's secondary.
So what should they rejoice about?
He says they should rejoice because their names are written in heaven.
Wow. That completely flips the script from external power to internal, eternal status.
Precisely. It shifts the focus entirely. And this often gets compared to that classic story of Martha and Mary.
Ah, right. Martha's busy, working, serving, getting things done.
Defining her value, maybe her glory by her actions, her successful hosting.
While Mary is just sitting, listening to Jesus, seemingly doing nothing productive by Martha's standards.
And in our culture today, wow, it is so hard not to be Martha, isn't it? We equate busyness, measurable output with virtue. Totally. Ticking boxes.
And yet, Jesus affirms Mary. He says she has chosen the better part.
Oof, that's countercultural.
Very. So the source uses this to argue that even really successful, effective religious work, big numbers, great programs, glowing reviews that can't be the ultimate measure of glory, it risks becoming about self-gratification, about applause.
Okay, so glory isn't just getting the free meal, the provision. And it isn't hitting the targets, the performance. Where does that leave us? It must take us back to that mountain, right?
Right.
And the price paid by those who saw the transfiguration.
Exactly. Which brings us to theme 3. Glory defined by responsibility. This is the perspective of the chosen.
Back to Peter, James, and John, the inner circle.
Remember, Jesus chose the 12 apostles after praying all night. The source points out this suggests a very careful, deliberate, divine selection process.
Which naturally raises human questions, doesn't it? Like, why them? Why not me?
Of course, and even within that chosen 12, there was this tighter inner circle of 3.
Peter, James, and John.
They saw the highest glory on the mountain, yes, but they were also the ones chosen to be with Jesus during his deepest agony in the Garden of Gethsemane.
That's a crucial point. They didn't just get the peak, they were present for the absolute pit too.
The glory came with the full spectrum of experience, not just the highlight reel. The responsibility starts way before the final sacrifice.
So the key takeaway here is
that receiving a specific glory, a special honor from God, is always, always tied to a corresponding price. The source uses the word zera, responsibility.
Zera, okay.
And it implies a heavy, serious, non-negotiable responsibility that must be paid. It's not a reward you earned, it's a mandate you receive.
It's not a badge, it's a burden. Or maybe a calling that includes burden.
That's a good way to put it. And the source warns against that feeling of self-importance, that self-inflation if you are chosen.
Like, if the other 9 apostles, or the other 58 from the group of 70, felt overlooked or jealous.
It suggests they were maybe focusing too much on their own perceived worth. Hey, I'm good enough, I should have been picked. rather than recognizing that any ability or authority comes from the divine call itself, not from their own resume, so to speak.
And the lives of the three witnesses, Peter, James, and John, they really demonstrate this link between glory and costly responsibility, don't they?
Absolutely. Their selection wasn't about being the best. It was a mandate for a life of enduring service, a life that demanded total faithfulness and the acceptance of profound sacrifice.
It wasn't an easy path after seeing the glory.
Far from it. James was the very first apostle to be martyred, killed for his faith.
Wow, first martyr.
Peter, who saw the glory, then denied Jesus 3 times. He was eventually crucified,
Right.
but tradition holds he asked to be crucified upside down, feeling unworthy to die in the exact same way as Jesus. He fully accepted that agonizing responsibility in the end.
And John, he lived the longest.
He did, into his 90s. But he still faced hardship, political exile on the island of Patmos, loneliness. Seeing the glory didn't lead to a comfortable retirement.
So you can't really chase that mountaintop high, that moment of transfiguration glory.
Without accepting the often painful, demanding path of service that inevitably leads you back down, back into the messiness of the community.
And that is the core lesson for that church in 2015, facing those 2,400 new neighbors.
Exactly. Were they going to just offer quick fixes or chase impressive stats? Or were they going to embrace the full, costly responsibility, the zerin that comes with truly reflecting that glory?
Okay, let's try to synthesize this. We've journeyed through 3 different definitions of glory. First, as temporary material help feeding the crowd.
Then, as measurable success and achievement, the satisfying performance review for the workers.
And finally, landing on glory is this profound spiritual responsibility, the zerin, which is linked to lifelong, costly commitment, the mandate given to the chosen.
And that challenge back in 2015 with all those new potential neighbors, it forced the church to decide which definition would drive their strategy.
Were they going to be a relief agency, a results-driven organization focused on numbers, or something else?
Or would they embrace the deeper, harder path, the one that requires full commitment, maybe sacrifice, to build something lasting, something eternal in that community?
It brings us back to that voice from the cloud on the mountain. The final command wasn't build tents or count converts. It was
listen to him.
So when you think about those 3 ways of viewing glory, provision, performance, or costly service, which one truly embodies listening to that command?
And which ones are maybe just subtle ways of trying to rebuild those tents Peter wanted, trying to stay comfortable on the mountain instead of engaging with the needs below?
What does genuine obedience look like when you're faced with a diverse, maybe skeptical new community, and you know that the path of real glory demands a significant price?
That's the tension, isn't it? Between seeking comfort and embracing commitment. A really powerful question to leave folks with.
Indeed. Something for all of us to think about, that connection between glory and responsibility. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Bye, Roger.
We'll see you next time.